Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of How to Pass Your DOT Medical Exam. I'm Dr. J from Dr. J Does Stuff, certified medical examiner for the last 10, 11 years. And we're going to talk today about oxygen and respiratory issues because while we don't see it very often, there's some confusion on what the FMCSA has to say about that. And the unfortunate news is that if you are a commercial driver and you're requiring those green oxygen tanks and a nasal cannula, that's unfortunately a disqualification. And if you're using like a diffuser type of a device that's got this, constant hum, it's almost like a nebulizer. That unfortunately that's not allowed either. But it kind of comes down to some numbers and whether or not you can pass without those devices. And so I'm going to put this up on the screen because this is going to be a little medical-y. But it has to do with the pressure of oxygen and the pressure of carbon dioxide. So the way that the FMCSA defines this is that if you have a number in your low altitude, and that's defined by 5,000 feet. So here in Denver, it's 5280, it's 1 mile up, so over 5,000. And the numbers can be a little bit less because, we're high up in the air and there's less, concentration of oxygen. But when you do a pulmonary function test or an oximetry test, the number, if you're at low altitude, needs to be 65. That's, the number, the units are what they are. I'll put that up on the screen. But if you're below a pressure, concentration of oxygen, the blood gases, what we're talking about, need to be 65 or higher. They can't be any lower than 65. And that's without the use of any kind of a oxygen device, whether it's the green canisters or, the green canisters are just a flat out no matter what, because, oxygen is highly combustible, and whatever the condition is, that you're dealing with your lungs, you have to be able to pass this test without those devices, because those devices are going to artificially inflate those blood gas numbers, which is what they're for, right? Because you're having trouble breathing, and so the doctors will put you on that. But if you come in and you require oxygen, then what I would need to see is what those numbers look like from a pulmonary function test, what those blood gas numbers are without the device on. And if your testing happens below 5,000 feet, then that number for the pressure of oxygen and the blood gases needs to be 65 or higher. If you're at 5,000 feet or higher, they'll let you get away with 60. And that again is without either, the green oxygen tanks or the continuous pressure diffuser kind of a device. And, I've seen people, it's rare, where their numbers actually are just, they're good. Like technically you're good. Like it's a 66, it's a 68 at low altitude. And the doctor says, well, let's just put you on this, just it'll help you kind of thing. Well, you can't use those when you drive, according to the FMCSA. And now technically you would pass because the numbers were higher than 65 or 65 or higher at low altitude. If you're at high altitude, if it was like a 60, 63, 65, those numbers are higher than the baseline, as long as those numbers were attained without using any kind of a auxiliary oxygen, device and cannula. So technically you would pass. But, I would say to you, now I'm going to give you a 1-year card, and when you come back, you need to be, bring me those numbers again. We're going to check those numbers, because if those numbers fall below where the baselines are, unfortunately, that's a disqualification. I'm not picking on anybody smokers, whatever. But in the past, I don't think it's as prevalent now, but go back 40 years, 50 years, a lot of drivers smoked. And as you get older, emphysema can kick in, respiratory issues can kick in, and it gets harder to breathe, but you still want to keep driving. So your doctor, who doesn't know the DOT rules like I do and my colleagues do, will put you on some kind of a oxygen concentrator device or those green tanks or something to help you breathe better, but they don't realize that they're killing your job. So it's frustrating whenever this happens to come up, because I have to be the one to give the bad news. But that is what the FMCSA says, is you can't have any auxiliary devices to artificially inflate your blood gas numbers. Those blood gas numbers on their own have to be minimum 65 if you're below 5,000 feet, and you can get 60 or higher if you're at 5,000 feet or higher up, and it depends on where the test is actually given. So there you go. This is a short one. Again, I get that it's frustrating, because drivers do get to that place sometimes in their age, and it doesn't mean they're bad people. They have a clean driving record, they're reliable, they show up on time, they bust their tail, but eventually health things do happen as we get older, especially over the age of 40, 45. And the DOT is just mostly concerned, FMCSA, about public safety. And, if the oxygen thing failed, or if the hose got kinked or whatever, and your numbers fall, you can pass out and you're driving a very heavy vehicle, and people can die, including you. So we don't want that. But those are the numbers, and that's how it's defined. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. We want to always tell the truth, and we want to explain, so you can come into your exam and pass the very first time. The channel is designed to be able to, or the series designed to give you the information so that you know ahead of time. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, call before you go. Call your DOT medical examiner and tell them what's going on since your last exam, if something's changed, and say, am I going to be able to pass? And they'll tell you, unfortunately, no, based on that condition, or you could, but I have to have this information before you come in. So don't wait until your card's going to expire tomorrow. Oh my God, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. Or your card expired a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Plan a little bit ahead of time. The rules change. So based on what you experienced in your last exam, say a year ago or 2 years ago, some things may have changed that pertain to you. And if you know that, then you can be best prepared when you go in. All right, please subscribe, share, like, comment, smash that bell for future notifications, and be safe out there.